This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Welcome back to I Want That Too, the podcast where Disney merch meets Disney history. I'm entertainment writer Jim Hill, and as always, I'm joined by the lovely Lauren Hersig.
Hey, Jim. You getting excited for Easter over there? So this show is coming out just a couple days before the big holiday.
I have to admit, it's an interesting holiday, especially at the Disney parks. In fact, we'll get to some of this stuff later on in the show, but Lauren, Disney struggled early on to figure out what to do with when it came to the Disney parks, when it came to Easter. They were like, what are we going to do? And you ever heard about the orchid drop in I want to say this was 57, 58?
No, sir, I have not. Enlighten me.
Okay. So again, it's Easter Sunday, and they want to do something nice for the moms who are bringing their families to Disneyland. So what the park decides to do is they advertise the fact that, and I swear to God, this is not a riff on the WKRP infamous Thanksgiving show, but they were going to tell all the moms, stand on Main Street, and we're going to fly over Main Street in a helicopter and drop orchids out of the helicopter. And as it was explained to me later, because they wanted to be sure that the orchids, which I guess had been delivered a day or so early, would still be nice and still be fresh for all the moms when they got there, they put them in the freezer.
Okay.
And so now and they also wanted them to be solid enough that they could survive dropping out of a plane. So
why
picture
would
this,
you drop a plant out of a plane? Like, whose idea
a helicopter,
was
a helicopter. I'm sorry, helicopter. But but again, they're dropping frozen orchids on Main Street down on moms who were there in their Sunday best. And when the first one, it crashed to the ground and exploded, like shrapnel, moms quickly scurried into the shops on Main Street, and they realized, oh, this is not a good
And
thing.
ladies and gents, this is why we cannot get a drone show at the Magic Kingdom.
Also true. So, but anyway, they wanted to get that story out of the way at the front of the show.
Oh, no, I love it. So we have come a long, long way since then, because this blows my mind. So we're going to be at the parks the week leading up to Easter. We'll actually make it home right in time for, the big day. So we're planning our trip, and, we go down regularly and not really doing much of like park passes. And we have annual passes also for Universal. And I get an email from Universal that says, hey, we're adding a couple days. Like, you're welcome, essentially. And do you know that we are blocked out of the park of Universal for the whole week leading up to Easter? So then I frantically go, because we have the hotel, like we have everything booked. And thank goodness we are not blocked out for Disney. However, what I've been reading is this week, along with the week of Christmas and the week between Christmas and New Year's, are actually the busiest weeks at the park. So why are so many people going to Florida the week of Easter? Unless it's just conveniently spring break?
Well, I mean, there is that, coupled with, face it, you and I are both here on the East Coast, and a lot of the school systems here on this side of the country do April school vacation, February school vacation, that sort of thing. So this is kind of traditionally baked into a busy time of year, just out of sheer, force of habit. That said, though, I mean, and by the way, if you're looking for something to do, if the parks are just too busy for you guys, but you want to do something Easter related, a lot of the hotels, especially the deluxe resorts, Contemporary Grand Flow, the Poly, Yacht and Beach Club, the like, they actually, the chefs at those hotels do elaborate chocolate Easter egg displays that are Disney
Yes.
themed. So, again, crowds get to be a little too much. Head to a hotel and look at some Easter art. How about that?
Heck yes. And I mean, as we speak, my husband has my phone. I mean, I feel like it's a great crossover for the Epic Universal podcast. He is waiting to see if we could get our annual pass preview for Epic for when we're down there. So, everybody listening, keep your fingers crossed, and maybe we'll be doing that and looking at some festive chocolate eggs at the Disney hotel. So never know. But, we're going to have a jam-packed trip. And speaking of jam-packed, I mean, we've got a stacked show here. So today we are cracking open the world of Disney Easter eggs, but not the kind that you think. We're talking about those like blink and you'll miss it moments hiding in some of your favorite, movies and theme parks, from Pixar cameos to, my favorite, secret Imagineering nods. I mean, Jim Scholl has shared some really great little Easter eggs with us. What we're doing is we're revealing the hidden magic that you didn't even know you'd already seen. So before we jump into all of that and our merch news, why don't we thank our sponsor?
Oh, yeah. Okay. And that would, of course, be Our Guest Vacations. And are you dreaming about your next theme park adventure? Well, let the experts at Be Our Guest Vacations handle every detail, from booking your resort to dining to making sure that you don't miss those merch drops. And they're a platinum-level earmarked travel agency that specializes in Disney, Universal, cruises, and more. Get started today at beourguestvacations.com and be sure to tell them that I Want That Too sent you. Okay, so we were just talking about Easter and no pressure to build the perfect Easter basket, but the Disney store this year wants to help. Is that what you're hearing?
Oh, yes. I mean, 'tis the season. I mean, there's some really cute little Easter items on the Disney store and in the parks. But really what they did, looking at the Disney Parks blog, is they said, if it is little and mildly related to a child, put it in their Easter basket. So that's what we're going with here.
Okay.
In addition to the really cute, Mickey and Minnie dressed up like the Easter Bunny, of course, they are leaning hard into Stitch. And before we got on the call, I was just looking at a response from one of our listener emails. And thank you, Claudia, for reaching out and offering to help me plan our Paris trip coming up soon. But she had asked in her original email, like, why in the world is there so much Stitch? And, we've continued to talk about this, the reasons why, so we don't need to go into that. But there is a whole Stitch section for your Easter basket. I mean, we've got a Stitch Lego. We got Stitch Crashes Disney the book. Like, it looks like a hardback, book for children. We got Angel and Stitch dressed up as bunnies. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on with Stitch. And something that I'm seeing here that is really cute and odd for an Easter basket, I think, is they have these keychains and they just look like those little puffs or like fluff that you would see, on kids' backpacks and that kind of stuff. But it would be like the backside of Minnie, Mickey, Donald, and Daisy. And so you see their little hat or ears and their little feet. So that's an odd interpretation of what to do with those little trendy puffs, but they're there, they're cute. And they also, in the Winnie the Pooh section, I have to bring this up. You're not seeing this. I tried before the show to share some pictures with Jim so he knows what we're talking about. But you remember those little mini mix-its that we talked about that came from
Tokyo.
Yes, from Tokyo, right? So now we have Winnie the Pooh with a it's really funny. A big like blue Easter bunny hat that then wraps around his face. It kind of looks like the Easter bunny ate poo and like has his mouth open and you see his little face. So if you want to have a memory that will last a lifetime, maybe purchase that.
Wow. Okay. I was just getting past the Mickey and Donald butts, and now we have poo being consumed. Okay.
Oh, this is what you get, folks. Here on I Want That Too.
Okay.
Okay. And then another a little set that is appropriate for an Easter basket is there is a brand new Doorables Ewok Village play set. And these little cuties are $19.99, and it looks like there's about 8 Doorables that you'll get. Miles is a big fan. I mean, you can get these individually at places like Target for, $5, $6, and oftentimes they're a surprise, but this one is a whole set, just in time for the May the 4th Star Wars merch line to be released. But, I think we're going to save our Star Wars, discussions for a little bit closer to May since we're on the Easter bandwagon, but they are adorable.
Yeah, and this is, wow, I guess you really have to be a Return of the Jedi fan to get these poses and these characters, but okay, I don't know, they're cute. I'd
like to know if adults collect Doorables.
There were adults out there that collect everything. I'm just saying.
All right, cool. Well, let us know if you do.
Okay.
What's up next, Jim?
Okay. So, again, being a male and being the size that I am, I really don't do Lululemon, but I appreciate what they do. And Lululemon and Disney, they have a new collection hitting the Disney store. Is that correct?
Yes, and I am not. I think Jim and I are, we like different types of things. I personally love Lululemon. I have the crossbody, and last time we were at the parks, like the belt bag, last time we were at the parks, I saw a handful of women who had the Disney-themed belt bag, and when I went on the website, they weren't selling them anymore, and so I was super jazzed to see that Lululemon and Disney have a new collection, and this time it is on the Disney store, because before, there are a few Disney items on Lululemon's site, but to be on the Disney store, even better. So we've got, matching tank and shorts. We've got some caps, hats, athletic jackets, long sleeve. The one that strikes me as a bit odd because it just does not scream Lululemon to me is the black hoodie. It's just a literal black hoodie with Mickey Mouse on the back that says Lululemon underneath for $148.
Okay.
Like, it was like they just flopped off Mickey Mouse or the word Disney and we're like, Lululemon, now it's, double the price.
And I got to tell you, I like, for example, the Mickey Mouse Warm Revelation beanie.
It's cute.
But at $58?
Yeah. You're getting Lululemon prices. Yes. And I'm pretty sure that is a very similar Mickey on that sweatshirt I was telling you about, to the shirt that I bought that the proceeds went to the LA wildfires.
Oh, well, there we go.
I think underneath, instead of Lululemon, it said LA Strong. So I feel like they may have called it in on that one. Sorry, Lululemon.
Okay. If it were going to folks, who were dealing with wildfires, I could deal with these prices. I don't get the sense here that's what's going on. So
No, not at all. And I'm going to have to dig a little deeper on this one and see where their new belt bag is because I'm in the market. All right, coming up next is something that I also really love, and that is Brooks running shoes. So if you've been to the theme parks, you see a variety of shoes. Personally, I am a on cloud / Brooks kind of gal to make sure that I have the most comfortable shoes in the parks. I mean, you're going to see Nike, Adidas, but the big ones are, is it called Hoka? It's Hoka, Brooks, and On Cloud. Like those are the big shoe brands just from going to Disney and, people watching. Do you have any good shoe recommendations? What's your favorite comfortable shoe?
well, I mean, I'm an old person, so if I can slip them on as opposed to lace them up, and in fact, what is it? Nancy has begun doing Birkenstocks, so it's like.
Ooh, me too.
Oh, well, there we go. So I don't know. It's just that the older I get, it's just sort of like, okay, good. I'm willing to spend the money on the good stuff. But that said, what's interesting about the Brooks running shoes we're looking here, which, by the way, I guess debuted out ahead of the Run Disney Springtime Surprise Weekend, which, by the way, was back on the 4th, 5th, and 6th, I want to say. You are going to pay for these. They're $150 a piece, but on the other hand, they have the nitrogen infused cushioning. They're lightweight. They have the guardrail support system. And if you are, God help you, if you're one of those folks who's doing the 5K, the 10K, the half marathon, the full marathon at one of these weekends, these are the sorts of shoes you need, and you spend the money to be comfortable when you're doing that much running around property.
Yes, and I have 2 points to make. One is personally, I am willing to invest in anything that stays between me and the ground. So shoes, mattresses. Anything that, separates from me from the ground. But the interesting thing is, I actually own these shoes, not Disney-fied like what we're seeing here, because these do say Run Disney on them with that branding, and then like you're getting the Mickey and Minnie, and looks like Dory or something to me. But but that price point of $150 is very similar to a just a regular pair of Brooks Ghosts. So
okay,
so not
noted.
too shabby there. So I encourage you to check out those fabulous shoes.
And by the way, Lauren, you and I are of similar minds when it comes between us and the ground. I mean, I'm literally looking at my ankle high wigwam socks. That was actually, this tells you how pathetic my life has become. Well, I turned 66, and my big birthday present was I went to downtown Maynard, my hometown, and there's a little store there, the outdoor store, and walked in and bought myself, I want to say $30 worth of ankle socks, but they were thick and they were what I wanted. But at the same time, I just felt like, what kind of a baby man are you that, I need my special, ankle socks, because they're so thick.
Oh, so. No, listen, I'm right there with you. When it comes to comfort and quality, like I have to have good socks. I have to have good shoes. But everything else, I like a deal.
See, that's the thing. You're more highly evolved than I am, and much younger, by the way. I'm only coming to this point. It's a latter point of my life that somehow my feet are worth it. But we'll get to that later. Okay, moving on now. And you were just talking about Florida, which is a place you go have fun in the sun. So what's the deal now with this fun in the sun collection?
Yeah, I figured I would mention this also since we're getting close with Easter. I know that sometimes there's a lot of this kind of things that make it their way into Easter baskets. So last week on the Disney store, they were really pushing like bathing suits heavily. But this is new Magic Kingdom exclusive merch that just dropped for summer. So there is a Mickey LED light up lamp for $34.99. There's a Fun in the Sun, like a coral pink spirit jersey, like sun, the palm normal spirit jersey price of $80. There's a tumbler, and I mean these are very, very, very like summer vibes. Mickey and Minnie are wearing sunglasses. We've got surfboards, we've got palm trees, the whole 9 yards. So if you're down in the parks, all of this Fun in the Sun collection can be found at the Emporium.
Yeah, and they're nice. I mean, they're no bright orange orange bird
for Flower Garden. No, they are not.
Garden spirit. I realize, why is it that I still want that? I must have been dropped as a child.
Listen, I kind of want that too.
Oh, well, there we go. Ba-dum-bum. Okay, so that completes the news section of this week's folks. And when we get back, as Lauren teased at the front of the show, we're going to talk Easter, but mostly about Easter eggs. But first, this.
So good, so good, so good.
New markdowns up to 70% off are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. Fresh kicks, spring tops, new dresses. There's always a score.
I mean, the denim section is unreal.
Why do I rack? All the dresses.
I always find something amazing.
Head to your Nordstrom Rack store to find can't-miss deals on all the spring things. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
And we're back, folks. And as you know, listening at the top of the show, Easter is just around the corner. So this is why on today's show, it feels like a good time to talk about bunnies and baskets and Easter eggs. But of course, spring flowers, you put those in with the baskets.
Or you throw them out of a helicopter at Mom's.
There we go. And Mom scurries into a store. But yeah, now what's kind of interesting is Disney is always about, ooh, that succeeded. Let's do something similar. I mean, we've talked, Lauren was pointing out that this year of the way too many anniversaries, this year was the 30th anniversary of the Flower and Garden that was first held April of 1994. But it was the success of that led to the first Food and Wine, which was held at Epcot in September of 96, just 2 years later. And I bring that up because the very first live broadcast of Disney's Very Merry Christmas Parade, Lauren, this was held on Christmas Day in 1983. And important to point out, that was before Michael Eisner came through the door.
Yeah,
so
he's
this
at
was
84,
the old,
right?
There we go. All right. So this is the other Disney management team that is doing innovative things. This is Ron Miller, who was like, we should be on television. We should have a broadcast showing people what it's like to be here at Christmas. But that was so successful. And again, Michael Eisner, when you have something successful, we should do something similar to that as well. That was broadcast on ABC. So what happens in April of 1985? And 30 years ago, 40 years ago, on April 7th, we had the first broadcast of the Walt Disney World Happy Easter Parade, which was hosted by Rick Dees and Joan London. And by the way, Joan was a carryover from the first first Christmas specials. He had done that with Mike Douglas. And I I remember these specials. The Easter specials continued till '99, and got discontinued. And the Easter parade thing at Disney World has largely mutated into more of a musical special these days. But it's still there. Anyway, talking about Easter at the Walt Disney World Resort, I lived down there in the mid 90s with my ex and my lovely daughter, Alice. And in fact, I remember taking Alice when she was a toddler over to the Yacht and Beach Club because they actually did an Easter egg hunt there out on the back lawn on a way too dewy morning. I had to take my daughter home and ring her out after this thing. But anyway, what we're here to talk about on today's episode isn't necessarily Easter eggs that get hidden in the backyard, but rather those that get tucked inside of your favorite Disney and Pixar films. Which reminds me, summer of 2012, I'm out in California. I've been invited to cover the world premiere of Brave, and standing there at the press barricade on the green carpet. They didn't have a red carpet; they had a green carpet. Who strolls by? But Brad Bird, who depends on what your favorite film is how you know Brad Bird. He could be the gentleman who directed Iron Giant, wonderful hand-drawn film. Could be the gentleman who did both of the Incredible movies or Ratatouille for Pixar, or if you're a Drew Taylor and you have your Light the Fuse, the official Mission Impossible podcast. You no doubt know Brad from his work on Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. But anyway, Brad wasn't there to walk the press gauntlet. He was there supporting his fellow Pixarians. But I waved him over, and Brad can be a touch prickly, but he's always generous with his time. And I mentioned, I saw that series of tweets you just posted. And Brad, what was going on at the time was people were wondering how in Brave. And remember, Brave is a movie that's set thousands of years ago in primitive Scotland. And so the notion was, okay, so in every Pixar film, they hide the Pizza Planet truck. And there's also a reference to A113, which was the classroom that you were taught animation in Cal Arts. And so like, how are they going to sneak those into the movies? And people were quizzing that about Brave. And Brad put out a tweet to the effect of, wondering why will they put A133 in Brave? Why not wait till the movie has opened and find out instead of asking? So, and also said something to the effect of you people who work in the press, who always ask me, what are all the hidden surprises in your latest project and where exactly are they hidden? and so I mentioned this to Brad and also say, suggest switching to decaf. Is that an idea? But no, Brad just sort of, he says, it makes me crazy. We live in this world now where, it used to be that you protected surprises in films. You didn't spoil Citizen Kane for your friends by blurting out what Rosebud was. You didn't ruin the ending of The Usual Suspects. And even back in 1999, people were very, very respectful about protecting the twist ending of M. Night Shyamalan's Sixth Sense. But now, with the rise of social media, it's like everybody wants to be the first to reveal a plot twist or tell you where exactly the Pizza Planet truck shows up. And for Brad, it's like, we spend 4 and 5 years making these movies. And, we carefully construct the stories and we plan out every detail, every twist and that sort of thing. And then somebody online reduces what you've carefully worked on to a screenshot and a headline. And it's like, it says, that's just wrong. That's like peeking at your Christmas presents. And And that's the thing. We said goodbye at that point, but what Brad said stuck with me. And I look, in the wrong one, folks, there's a big difference between a spoiler and an Easter egg. And look, a spoiler literally is what it sounds like. It spoils, reveals a detail early, a plot twist, something that, in fact, if we double back to Sixth Sense for a moment, this still makes Nancy laugh, but the day we went to a movie theater and saw that M. Night Shyamalan for the first time, I'm a grown man, Lauren, all right? But when the twist was revealed, I literally said out loud, "Oh my God." And it was a full theater full of adults who immediately cracked up because I said out loud what everybody thought. Like, oh wow, I didn't see that coming. But that's the thing. We're supposed to enjoy that and then keep the secret so the next audience can enjoy it. But on the other hand, an Easter egg, well, look, an Easter egg is something that rewards you for paying attention. They're a studious way of winking at the fans, of sharing a hidden joke or a character cameo, a visual pun.
So this is the difference, right, between a spoiler and an Easter egg, right?
Yeah,
so it's it's just like a little wink.
Well, yeah, and what's interesting is Easter eggs. In fact, it's kind of ironic that, just recently the biggest hit film of the year is a Minecraft movie, which of course, a video game.
My kids saw that this weekend. I have no idea what's going on. Are you talking about that one? The one that's out now?
I'm talking about that one. But that's the thing. Easter egg, the term Easter egg actually comes out of the world of video games. And in fact, supposedly, if we're being thorough here, it actually comes out of the 1980 Atari classic Adventure. In fact, that game's creator, Warren Robinet, was frustrated that Atari wouldn't let developers put their names in the credits. So he did the next best thing. He hid his name in the game. And if you found a certain pixel, later dubbed the gray dot, you could unlock a secret room where the words "created by Warren Robinet" suddenly appeared, which I think is kind of cool. But cute, yeah. But anyway, Atari management wasn't thrilled when they found out about that. But instead of pulling the game off of the market, Stephen Wright, their director of software development, he actually saw potential in this concept. Which is why, all right, we'll let this go forward. And he actually called this thing an Easter egg and encouraged other developers to do the same. Now, if we now jump ahead to the 1980s, Disney is developing Epcot. And the thing of it is that the Disney management is being very serious about this second theme park in Florida. And it's like, this is for adults and this is our more advanced park. And over time, the Imagineers began to sort of chafe at the fact that it's like, this is serious. This isn't fun. And so it then became something of a game, something of a challenge to slip little funny, silly things into Epcot. And one of the ideas that, especially because there was a hard and fast rule about Epcot that the Disney characters were not allowed in this park originally. The only characters were going to be Figment and the Dreamfinder, and I want to say that little robot, Smart One. But that was it. Those were the only characters in Epcot. So the Imagineers began slipping Mickey into, especially three little circles where they could. This is where the concept of the hidden Mickey came up for Imagineers who effectively being told by management, this is serious, this can't be fun. It's like, I'll show you serious. And this is when the Imagineers began sneaking things into the Disney parks. And when we get back from this break, we're going to talk about a number of the times that the Imagineers did that.
As a small business owner, my favorite thing about posting a job on LinkedIn is that when I hit post, I clock out and LinkedIn clocks in.
LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, get qualified candidates, and manage them all in one place. Plus, LinkedIn extends the reach of your job post by allowing you to share it with your network. And hiring managers that add a hiring frame to their LinkedIn profiles receive 2 times more qualified applicants. Go to linkedin.com/achieve to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, we're back, and we were talking about Easter eggs in the parks and in movies and the like. Um, what's kind of interesting is that this sort of acknowledging, winking to the audience in a Disney project. I would argue, Lauren, probably the first time we saw them do this was in 1966 with the original Winnie the Pooh featurette, Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree. Remember in this hand-drawn, I want to say 28-minute long film, there's a point in it where Pooh has overindulged and is now stuck in, halfway in and out of Rabbit's house, and suddenly a gopher appears. But the interesting thing, and there's a wonderful funny scene in this where the gopher is trying to decide whether or not he's going to dig up Pooh, but he keeps saying, he's talking like a tradesman to the effect of, well, I'm not in the book, like sort of hinting at, I'm not in the yellow pages. You can't find me to call me to come work on you. But the other reason why the people who worked in this movie kept using the gag, I'm not in the book, is the gopher literally is not in the A.A. Milne short stories that the Winnie the Pooh movies are based on. Find me. And by the way, this tradition continues with, oddly enough, the attraction that's based on that featurette, the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which opened at the Magic Kingdom in Florida in June of 1999. And I don't need to tell all you theme park fans out there that it replaced Mr. Toad's Wild Ride at that theme park. That shut down September 7th, 1998. And in fact, kind of freaked out Disney World management that so many people turned out to protest that. Who are these crazy theme park people? But anyway, the Imagineers, because of these fans who turned out and were so dedicated to Toad, they felt like, well, we got to do something in the Winnie the Pooh ride that acknowledges what was here previously. So, Lauren, have you ever seen these? Ever, when you're writing on the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh at Walt Disney World, have you seen the paintings on the floor?
On the floor? I don't know.
Okay, well, there is one photo of a painting of Mr. Toad handing the deed to Toad Hall to Owl. And then there is, I want to say there's another painting of Winnie the Pooh shaking the hand of another little round sweet character, Molly. Okay. But that those two paintings are there on the ground, I want to say in Owl's blown down house, as an acknowledgement of what was here previously. And again, this is something Disney has been doing for a while now, though it's the Pixar side of the fence that I think a lot of people mostly know about. In fact, dear Lord, if you go over to YouTube, I can't begin to tell you how many videos there are that show you where exactly the Pixar truck, the Pizza Planet truck is located, or where the reference to A113 is located. But at the same time, what's interesting is you will see characters reused in interesting ways. I mean, again, we were just talking about Brad Bird. And remember that Brad Bird had made The Incredibles. And in the beginning of that film, we see a villain called Bon Voyage, who is just basically dressed like a French mime. Now, if you watch Brad Bird's next movie that he makes for Pixar, there is a scene about 2/3 of the way through. And remember, Ratatouille is set in Paris. And so a very easy place to slip a French mime into. And if you're looking in the background, at one point, there is a street performer, a mime that looks very familiar because previously we saw him blowing up a bank. But that's Brad creating some connective tissue between his two films. Now, by the way, if you want to learn more about these sorts of things, where these things are hidden away, Mark Saltzman has written a wonderful book, DVD Confidential. And literally the subtitle of this thing is Hundreds of Hidden Easter Eggs. Now, mind you, it date back to 2002, but that's what Amazon is for, folks, and that's what used books are for. The downside is it's been a while since we've seen an updated edition. I'm hoping that Mark at some point will get around to that.
Those types of books are made for people like me who can't wait. I just need to know.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you have a particular favorite Easter egg, Lauren?
Oh, I have to say, in Frozen, when it's the version of Rapunzel after her hair's been cut. The dark brown short, like bob.
Yep. Yes, she and Flynn Rider are in the crowd in tail end of First Time in Forever. I want to say Elsa is making her way out of the castle, yes. and you can see Flynn Rider and Rapunzel walking in. I mean, mind you, you have to recognize the characters from the back, but they're there. Yeah.
I mean, how about you?
One of the earliest ones was, and mind you, this technology, being able to go frame by frame, especially back in the day of VHSs, you had to really, really work at this. But when The Little Mermaid came...
Oh my gosh, I was just going to say that.
There we go. The Little Mermaid, when Triton enters the concert that Sebastian is about to conduct with Ariel's sisters, and they do the flyover of the crowd, if you know where to look, you can spy not just Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, but Kermit. Kermit is actually in the crowd there. And this is years before Disney actually bought the Muppets.
That is not where I thought you were heading with the story, if I'm being honest. Do you remember the controversy around some of the little Easter eggs in The Little Mermaid?
Well, okay.
I was like, you dirty bird, you're going there.
Well, the interesting thing is the artist that painted that just recently has come out online and told the story about that. And he insists it's not what we've all been saying. It's not the story about him being fired, and sneaking that, phallic image into the poster. And the interesting thing is that, and in fact, this is searchable, folks. You can Google Little Mermaid poster controversy. But he talks about the fact that his company then went on to continue to do all sorts of posters for the Disney films. And the notion that if the story were true, if he had been fired, certainly his company would have been punished. And never gotten work at Disney again. And if anything, he continued in the industry and his company continued to do stuff for Disney. So it's kind of an urban legend thing that, oh boy, I'm going to get myself in trouble for saying
you
this.
Brought it up. Well, I kind of brought it up.
Okay. Well, no. It's just because remember, a phallic symbol is something that Sigmund Freud came up with. And remember that Sigmund Freud also said, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Sometimes a castle is just a castle. All right. I'm just saying that, right? So,
all right.
But anyway, so that's a quick overview of Easter eggs and how they came to be in Disney films and Pixar films. And gotta say, I am looking forward to Elio coming out in just a few weeks, because it's like, okay, you're out in deep space with the Communiverse. How you sneak in A1113 in there, and when's the Pixar Pizza Planet truck show? But the long story short, folks, if you see Brad Bird, don't mention it. The Easter egg thing, kind of sensitive. Anyway, that's going to do it for our episode just before Easter 2025. So, but that's it. If you want to stay up to date about everything that's happening at the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X. And don't forget to check out our ad-free shows and bonus content over on Patreon.
Yes, and if you are enjoying this festive show about Easter eggs, please leave us a review. It really helps us get more listeners, and, it really means a lot. And if you have a tip, a question, or you've spotted some fun merch out there in the wild, we'd love to hear from you too.
Well, okay. And speaking of which, if you want to get a hold of me, you can reach me at jim@jimhillmedia.com.
And I'm Lauren at laurenhersey.com. And I mentioned a couple weeks ago that we've had people reach out to Eric Hersey, my husband, on Blue Sky, host of the Epic Universal podcast. So, if you're on Blue Sky or social, feel free to reach out to me or Eric. But that does it for today's episode. Thanks for listening. Happy Easter. And we will see you next time on I Want That Too.